didn't take this adventure on because I was riding coattails. I took this adventure on because I thought there was a void, and hence AftershockXL, After Shock Jock. Then light's gonna bother me on my bald head, but there was someone that was a big part of the Howard Stern show, a huge part of the Howard Stern show. I think her name and what happened and the events that took place helped Howard Stern be put on the map. On top of the fact that she's fucking hot. I'm a sucker for redheads. And she was a part of the show for a very long period of time, which brought a lot of people in. She did a lot of good things for Howard, and they were friends. I don't know what else happened with that, and then she disappeared, just like that. Fart in the wind. Gone. For very many good reasons. But I am extremely humbled and excited to be the first person to bring back the one girl that Howard Stern was in love with, that helped blow his show out the door, out of the water. I have Miss Jessica Hahn on the phone right now.
Hi, sweetness.
Hi,
honey.
Hi, honey.
Hi, honey.
Boy,
that was intro.
Go ahead.
You're so sweet.
The only reason why I was so sweet is because you did nothing but treat me like a little brother. And I remember you helping me out. Like you send me money for like my Con Ed bill. You used to send me care packages. And it was just like, but I was a fan before I started working on the show. And I was also, the first time I ever saw you on camera, I was like, I'm a sucker for redheads. And I saw you and I was like, I was a little kid. Aww. And the fact that I even got to know you or become friends with you was mind blowing. And you treated me like, I'll never forget how you treated me. And I used to hate the way Howard treated you in a way, because I was overprotective.
Well, you're just like a big brother. You're just so sweet. He did what he did, and I actually, I love the show, and I did everything because I loved it, and Howard actually gave me a lot of opportunities and stuff, and but Steve, you're just so sweet. I can't even stand it.
I'm just one of those people, like when, like you do one good thing for me, I don't forget it. And you did more than one good thing for me. And then, I understood why you dropped out, because you fell in love with somebody that was like, no. So can you explain that to everybody? Why you dropped out? What happened?
Well, after I was engaged to the guy who created Married with Children, Ron Levitt, and he passed away in 2008, and it was actually more than I could bear. I stayed around for a few months after that, but then I met, I've known Frank. He was he worked with Ron for many years and knew Ron forever. And he was like his best friend. So we connected, and I ended up marrying him. And that's where I am. But he has a ranch.
What I like to know, and I think what everybody needs to know, is the fact that you were a regular. You were hot on the show. You were there. Then you weren't, and you went stone cold quiet. Understandably, what happened on your end? Like, was it an ultimatum, or was it just something that you decided you were done with? Or was it something that he said, if you want a piece of this, you can't have a piece of that?
Well, let me explain, and you're probably the first person I'm going to open up to about this. When I met Frank, after Ronnie passed away, things became very different. My whole lifestyle changed. And I didn't feel free enough to be on. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, but so the guy, the God rest his soul, the person that passed away from Married with Children, Ron was the reason why were you not allowed to do the Howard Stern show, or you chose not to do the Howard Stern show?
I was allowed, but I went into such a funk when Ron died, and nothing, not Frank, anybody could bring me out of it. So, I didn't want to go on Howard's show, or I guess I just stopped calling in, and I guess it just faded out. You know how that happens? I
No, you
guess.
didn't fade out. You went stone cold.
Yeah, I know. And Howard was sweet. He checked in on me a few times, and sent flowers when Ron passed away. But it just was never the same. My lifestyle changed. I went on a ranch, and I hung out with Frank and some bison and animals, and it's just my life changed. And it's not that I wasn't allowed. I just didn't feel like the same Jessica anymore.
Yeah, no, and I always thought like again, I'm going back to being me and being like, I just I saw you as a really good person, so I was kind of protective. But um, when this whole thing, so when you left, Howard actually reached out to you.
He did. Well, after Ron died, he did. And he just checked in on me. And, it was like I had such a big struggle when Ron died, and I went through a lot of changes and stuff. And we just stopped talking after that, you
Yeah.
know.
So,
Um,
how did you communicate with Howard? Was it like he had your cell? There wasn't cell phones pretty much at that point, So how did that go down? Like, was your
no,
person spoke to his person or something like that, or what?
no, he had my phone number and he called me up and just said, "How you doing, Jessica?" And I said, "I'm hanging in there," and he wanted to know if everything was all right. So did Gary. And they checked up on me and checked in. And after that, I just went into a big funk and, made some bad choices and came out of that alive and well.
What was your bad choices?
Well, I did some drugs and stuff, and now, I'm fine, but it was just hard. I went into such a deep thing, losing
Yeah,
Ronnie.
that
And now
that
then
would
I
do
came
it.
out of it. Now I'm just a regular person. I just, I love my animals and I'm clean and, you know.
At least one of us are. Anyway,
Yeah. Hey, I still see I can still have my wine and stuff, and I know that
yeah.
sounds ridiculous and people
No, no.
not really,
Well,
but
we always had that connection with the green stuff, but uh, that's that
yeah.
but that's medicinal at this point. So what? Who cares? But so I'd like if you don't mind me rewinding a little bit and talking about what happened to you from the beginning. A lot of people know you from the Howard Stern fame and stuff like that, but there's a lot of people that might not know how it happened. And I know what happened. I don't know the real deal. So maybe explain a little bit of what happened. You were a young, impressionable, beautiful girl working for a giant televangelist. Is that how
Well,
it's?
what happened was I was working for a preacher in Massapequa, and he connected me to, well, he didn't, but another preacher connected me to Jim Baker. He was a
And who at
televangelist.
the time was,
He's
almost like
had like
some people with Jesus himself.
right, him and Tammy Faye Baker, Tammy with the makeup, and they had like third from Disneyland and Disney World was their place, and it was called the PTL Club, and we got in a situation, and to the I can now say after all these years that we were both set up, both Baker and myself, and I feel like that's never been said, and I should say it now, but it got into some sexual thing, and because of that Jim Baker lost everything and I ended up in the news because it was such a
Wait,
juicy
wait, what
story.
what happened? Like, so you're this hot. You were the receptionist.
I was a secretary in Massapequa and a
So
preacher
what
called
what
me
was
up
the
that
contact that you had with the Jim Baker and Tammy Faye? Like on a daily basis, they walked in and they got their information from you. You did all their.
no, no. I there was a traveling evangelist who got, who was coming to my church in Massapequa, and he called me up and said, Jim Baker needs a babysitter for his two kids. And we're in Florida. He's doing a telethon. And please come to the hotel in Florida. And I went, and Jim Baker didn't, his kids were by the pool. And he kind of just had sex with me in the hotel room.
No, wait, whoa, whoa,
And
whoa, 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 whoa. It's not that doesn't just happen like that. So he just kind of
Right.
had sex with you. What was the course of events? Like you just didn't like spread your legs. He wooed
No,
you. Was it like a
uh,
church thing, or how does
it,
he
it,
kind of
well,
have sex with you?
I was a virgin, and the guy who called, his name was John Fletcher. He used to visit my church in the hometown in Massapequa, and he
And you grew
said,
up
"I
what?
know
Like,
a
yeah,
girl."
like I'm Catholic. I'm Irish Catholic. So you grew
Right.
up right in Massapequa. What was the
And, uh, it was like a Pentecostal church, let's put it that way, with tent
okay?
meetings and gospel music. And this guy would visit in the summer, and so he called Jim Baker, whatever. They
Yeah.
both he needed quote a woman because his wife didn't make him feel like a man. That's what he told me.
So
Jim
basically,
Baker
that
did.
it's like I need a hooker.
Well, yeah, but
Because
I
you're a
was a
hooker, but
virgin.
like when you say you need a woman for this, that means
Well,
you're
they knew I wouldn't talk, so I was the babysitter for everybody in the church. I was a good girl, I was, in my early 20s, 20, 21, and I was like, all I knew was the church. And so he said, "I got a girl for you," quote. This I found out much later. And anyway, I show up and they're both there, and that's what happened. And it became a big scandal later because the one of the guys just wanted to
wait. So hold
blackmail.
on a second. So you're a virgin. You're blanking out the best part, the most like integral part. So you're a virgin. Basically, you got pimped out to him because he needed a girl, and
Right.
you show up. What's his move? Is it just like take your clothes off and like get into bed, or does he try to lay some game
No,
on you?
we went on the balcony and looked at his kids, and he said, "There are my kids," which made me feel pretty good because I also, you got to understand, Jim Baker was like Elvis Presley in the
Yeah,
Christian
yeah.
world.
I just want to know how this goes
So
down.
right. And so I really looked up to him. And then when he said, "There are my children," I thought, "Oh, great." So I do, because I used to be known for babysitting everybody in the church. So I thought, "Oh, okay, I'm going to be taking care of them." And they were very young at the time. And then he took me by my hips and brought me in the room and laid me on the bed, and that was that.
No, that
And
wasn't that was that. Did he kiss you? Did he make any like
yeah,
romantic movements before he ripped your pants off, or he just ripped your pants off and
no,
that's sex with you?
I had a wraparound dress on. He took his short. He had on he was wearing a bathing suit, and it was a white terry cloth bathing suit. And I was wearing a wraparound dress, and he pulled the string, and that's when everything happened. I don't want to go through the entire details,
I
but
don't want to have to bring you back that, but like on your half of the point, like he's like Elvis and this is consensual, so we can leave it at that. You don't have to get into too many details. But like there wasn't much romanticizing about it. It was just you showed up in the room. There's my kids. Take
right.
your dress off.
Yeah, he didn't know me. He just knew of me, and I was quite, vulnerable and innocent. I just didn't know any better, and I thought, "Wow, he's my idol. Of course I'll watch his kids. Of course I'll go to Florida. Of course
Of
I'll,
course, I'll give up my
show
virginity.
what."
I said, of course, I'll give up my virginity. Like
It was like I didn't understand what was happening. So I
yeah,
was like,
sure, yeah,
"Why
you
is
were
he
a
doing?"
kid.
And then I thought, well, this man knows God way better than me, and I feel like maybe I'm helping him. And he said something to me. He goes, "When you help the sheep, you helping the shepherd." And I thought, wow, I can actually help people. I was
Oh my God!
lost.
This happens. I'm not going to get into it. It's too much to get into because it's not just what you went through. Like, there's people have used like religion for shit like this for way too long, and
Yeah.
it's unfortunate that a person of your character had to go through this with someone that you idolize, and it's just not right.
Well,
So okay, so
I'm over it.
so all right, so now that goes down. You give up your cherry to this piece of shit, and what's the next step? What happens now?
You mean after Jim Baker?
Well, yeah. So Jim Baker.
You mean after which? After
Obviously, it doesn't sound like a rape case, but just sounds like someone taking advantage of someone's innocence, which is almost the same thing. But so you have sex with him, and he's obviously a massive hypocrite.
so it's So it's kept quiet for like 8 years, and then the guy who hooked us up, he got jealous of Jim Baker, wanted his, and he had like a
No, not
empire,
hooked you up, pimped
and
you out. Let's get that straight. He pimped you out.
what?
He didn't hook you up.
Yeah, yeah, he pretty much did, and he also then called the newspapers in 1987 and said, "Remember the name Jessica Hahn?" And then they started looking into it, and it suddenly became a little story in the Daily News in New York. And then the next day, it was I had reporters on rooftops and standing on their trucks. I lived in an apartment, in Babylon, a little apartment, and I couldn't leave. And suddenly I was like telling my mother, I can't explain it right now. And that's when Howard called, and
Well,
I wouldn't
did
talk to
Dominic Barbara have something to do with that as well?
yeah, but much later. Actually,
Oh,
Howard was
really?
first.
So wait, so
Yeah, he
Howard just happened to get your number because I know Howard he was on your side. He felt bad. Not that he felt bad for you. He was like protecting you or like standing up for you.
well, Howard got my number from a guy from the New York Post somehow, and called me up and heard my phone machine, which was, "Hi, this is Jessica at the hat," whatever, and he loved it. And him and Robin were talking, and the guy from the Reporter, I made friends with him. He didn't report any of this, but he was nice enough to just look after me and said, "Just give him a call." And I called him back, and that's when history was made. It was, and Howard and I were in the papers soon that next week, and
Yeah.
that's how I became a friend of Howard's.
No, and then, listen, I have really a lot of people have issues with Howard at this point. I have the hypocrisy of shit. It's that kind of like irks me. But the man was nothing but always good to me when I was there, as you as well. So he is a protective person when he feels someone's being slighted, and I think he thought you were slighted,
Yeah.
and he wanted to protect you, and he sort of put you under his wing.
Right. And then that's what it was like for a few years. But I was on the air like every day with him, like every
Yeah,
morning from my little apartment, because I wasn't talking to the media. So I
yeah.
started talking to him.
So
And then,
you never met Tammy Faye?
I actually talked to her before she died, and she said, if I saw you, I'd give you a big hug, and I would look like one of those shirts where it says I ran into Tammy Faye at the mall with all the makeup on it. But like she said she'd hug me, and
Yeah. Well, it was
I
just
asked
that one. It
her,
was just that one sexual encounter with
yeah,
Jim Baker. That was it.
yeah, and I asked her to forgive me because I'm still to this day. I got to be honest, Steve. I'm still confused. Like I feel like we were both set up, and
Well, yeah.
I
It
always
sounds like
feel
that asshole pimp guy kind of set you up.
yeah, and he died, but I kind of feel bad about it all. So
Well, you know
you
what?
know,
I don't know why you would be feeling bad about it at this point because
I know
you were innocent
thing you're
and you didn't understand what was going on and you were with someone that was an influence and he took
right.
advantage of it. But on the other hand, you took that and you made something of yourself from it.
Yeah,
And then
plus Dominic
Howard,
showed up.
yeah. And
Well, then
so
Dominic
now,
showed up.
so now let's get to it. I have a really like a insane story about. I'll tell this story first because I don't think I've ever told this story. I never told it on the air, and it's
Okay.
really weird. But one of the people that I always wanted to meet while listening to Howard Stern, being a fan, was Sam Kinison, and I was like, well, and then I got the job, and I was like, well, can't wait to meet Sam, and
Yeah.
I was doing the best of with Maria Melito, and they were playing a fight with Howard and Sam, and then it was like the makeup thing. They were like, "I love you, bro. I love you, bro." And I had this thought in my head. I go, I wonder what it would be like. How would Howard handle something like if someone like Sam passed away? I was like, how would he
Mm,
handle that? And this was Friday. Okay,
mm,
so I wrap up the whole thing with Maria and the best of, and I go back and I'm answering phones in the office, and I'm like, Howard Stern show, and it's like, this is Malika. Uh, is Gary there? I was like, no, it's not, but I knew who it was right away. I was like, Malika, no, I'm
right.
sorry. Gary's there. She was like, And I hear Sam in the background, tell him, tell him, tell him. She goes, well, we just got married. And well, we want to announce it on the morning, Monday morning. And we want Howard to be the, do the breaking news. We're not sure if we're going to be in California or Las Vegas, but here's both numbers. We want Gary to call us in the morning. We want to announce it on Howard Monday. That was Friday.
Oh my God.
Saturday, the next day, I never forget because I worked at a pizzeria in Canarsie, J&S Pizza. And I walked in and my friend goes, did you hear Sam Kinison died? I go, oh, that's bullshit. The new kids on the block died like 3 times that week. I was like, that's another bunch of bullcrap. She's like, no, Sam Kinison died. I was like, you're full of shit. No, he died on the highway from Los Angeles to Vegas. And I was like, oh my God. I literally thought about what would happen if someone like Sam died. And then I got the phone call from Malika saying that they got married, and then Sam died the next day. Wow, it was like one of the in my own consciousness, I predicted his death. It was very weird.
I that guy every single day. I think about him a lot. Like, what would he be like now?
Oh, he would. I would explode.
Well, I actually called,
what's going on today?
He'd be a little nuts, but I had a call.
Tell me about the first time you met Sam.
Oh my gosh, where was I? Holy crap! I'm trying to think of when I met him. That's a great. Oh, at the Comedy Store. I met Sam at the Comedy Store, and Arsenio Hall and him were in the back room in the Comedy Store in California on Sunset.
Been there.
And they were upstairs.
Place, right?
Right. And they were upstairs pretending they were preachers, like just play, they were just very funny to me. And
Sam was a preacher, though.
Yeah, he was, and he's damn good. He was like, and they had me laughing so hard. And then, I knew Malika was around, but they weren't married or anything. So Sam and I just hooked up and connected, and we talked about God like for days. Like, he would stay up for days, and we used to sit and talk in my limo. I sent a limo, and I don't know, that poor guy worked for 3 days at one time for both of us because we were both being bad. And we hung out at my hotel in the hotel in Sunset. What was the name of that?
Mondrian?
I'll come to me.
Mondrian?
What?
The Mondrian?
No, it's right off. No, it's right off actually Sunset in
by the Rainbow?
Darn. No, close though, like right near the St. James. But anyway, we hung out for days, and oh my Lord, it was the wildest time I've ever spent in my life with anybody alone.
Yeah.
And
my favorite Sam is the thing is, it's just like, when you're dead and you're in the morgue, and then some guy has sex with your dead body. No. Let me ask you a question.
That is the greatest.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That was the greatest. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I've actually kept in touch with Bill. I've his brother, Bill Kinison.
Right.
And I just I had like a little bit of contact with him here and there because he was nice. I actually went out to do a demo at it. He has a theater out somewhere in California, and me and Roy McDonald from Bright Shot, we went out and did a demo at his theater. But it was nice to see him, and he's so much like his brother,
Well, he has the same voice. They sound alike.
It's really like kind of twisted, but it was just odd that day, that the day before that. I just remember like thinking, how would Howard respond if someone that close to him, like Bill, like Sam Kinison, died, and literally died the next day? So it was weird.
It blew my mind, but my more was when Fred made that tribute song.
Yeah. Well, Fred.
I wept days.
Yeah, Fred. Yeah. I was at Fred's first gig. I know every word to every song to Fred's first album, Animal. Fred King Norris. I listened to it every weekend. It's one of my favorite albums
Oh,
of all
really?
time. The Fred and you know, like I bumped into Fred probably like maybe like a year ago, less than a year ago, right in my neighborhood. And you know, Fred's always like, you know, focused. And I was like, Fred, it's me. He's like, oh my God, hey. But I bumped
Yeah,
into
but
Fred. I bumped into Fred like a year ago on the street, and I was like, because I know there's a lot of weird things going up uh, with Howard in the studio about his guru and like you know moving forward and never going back to the past. And I was like, Fred, is it okay to take a picture? I don't want to get you in trouble. He was like, give me the fucking camera. You know, uh,
oh,
as much as everybody like people don't understand like his impression of me when I was on the air. I giggled like a little schoolgirl. Like I thought it was like the best thing ever. And like people were like, oh, Fred really ripped your apart. I was like, no. I was like, I'm watching Fred, and he's looking at me, and we're laughing at each other. It was just like awesome. I love him so much.
I love him so much. I just
Yeah.
love him so much. It's like, yeah, he makes the show great too, you know, and
No,
I just
Fred's like an insane genius. Like he's like like I always and Jessica, you've been in the studio. Remember like that he had all those carts all around him, like all
yes.
the carts that we put in for sound effects.
People,
Like, but he would not have to look. He knew exactly where they were. Like it would be
that's what's insane. I worked in radio for a short time in Arizona, and I had my own show from 6 to midnight, and then I did a morning show. But those carts, those I remember carts like that, and I had to know exactly what I was pulling and where. But Fred did it without looking. I was always aware of that, and I was like, "Holy crap! How does he do this?" Like, you know,
no, he's
sound
like
effects.
Rain Man.
He is, he is, but with a big
But
heart.
do
I
you
love.
understand something? That one of like everybody thinks like I had some important jobs with Howard and shit like that. But one of my most important jobs, Fred had. It was a thing that you pulled around that all the sound effects all the way around, and there was this fickle like metal thing that you had to pull in and out of the studio every day.
Right,
But
right.
if you and going in and out of the studio, there was like a lip, and you had to carefully pick it up, pull it over, and make sure because if you caught that lip on the wrong angle, everything fell out.
That's
which means
right.
which means that
It was
Fred had to reorganize all the cards back in his mental. So
like,
I made
oh, the poor guy.
that's why Fred was like, I don't want anybody touching that thing except for Grillo. And I did drop it a couple of times, but the couple of times I did, he was
Oh,
like, "You get a pass." But if anybody else touched it, John or Ganji, and they always dropped it, he was like,
oh,
because like Fred had to go like alphabetize his brain again all over again.
he's really good. I mean, he's so precise. It's almost like you'd have to be a genius. You
No,
know,
no, he's
I just
beyond genius, and that man is a. If you ever get a chance, go to check out King Norris Animal. That I
I
played it for a friend over the weekend that was a big Stern fan, and I was like, and I played 3 songs, and I said, take a guess who this is. By the third song, my friend was like, I don't care who it is. Can I get this album? And I was like, it's fucking Fred Norris, and he was like,
yeah,
no way. I was like, yeah, 'cause he's like a Stevie Ray Vaughan.
yeah. He's super talented.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I love him. I
What's
love
your
him.
what's your favorite story about doing everything? Like I have my favorite stories, but there's always like my one favorite. What was your happiest, most fun day when you were there? Like what was the coolest thing?
Oh my gosh! You know what? I think when we filmed Bupango Fiesta, I got on an elephant.
That's when I first met you.
You remember that?
Yeah. Oh,
I got on an elephant, and it was the biggest elephant I've ever seen, and I don't know
shit
how I
everywhere.
got on it, but
Shit everywhere.
what?
It just shit
Yeah,
everywhere. The oven.
it did. But I love I think I forgot I remembered a name for Daisy, I think. But she was so great, and I know Howard was on the elephant with me, and I had so many great times. I mean, when Howard came to LA, he was protective, and I had a halter on, and he goes, "Put a jacket on for God's sakes." You know, it was like,
Yeah, well, that's how I felt because the first time we really hung out was at the Bella divorce party, and for those who don't know or understand what that was, it was actually kind of amazing because the Howard was huge in New York, and then we finally get to YSP, in Philadelphia in the helm of the great Tim Sabian. And I talk to Tim all the time, by the way, Jessica. And so Tim, so Howard, this guy John DeBella was the king of Philadelphia radio. No,
Right.
yeah, he was like,
Oh,
and he said, "There's no way in hell this guy's going to come and knock me off my block." And Howard, of course, came in and did exactly what he said he was going to do. But what he said he
like
was,
within weeks.
he said he was going to beat him and become number one. This was Howard's predictions, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. He said he was going to knock him off, and Howard was going to be number one, and he was going to go there and have a funeral. And then when Howard found out that he met his wife on the listener line, which means like you're a DJ and you're picking women up off, basically at this point you would think it's Tinder for radio jocks, for radio people. He picked his wife up off the listener line, and that once Howard knocked him off and had the funeral, that Howard was going to have her on. He was going to have a divorce party and have her on Dial a Date, and all those things came true. Correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So
it was.
I go ahead.
It was like within weeks he beat him in the ratings, but that funeral was obscene. It was so great.
So I wasn't there for the funeral, but when I got there, and I was probably like there for like 5 or 6 weeks, and they already took a like. I've been working with the show on the DL and with K Rock, like they couldn't get rid of me. I was like a bum on a sandwich, and so finally I officially got on the show about 5 or 6 weeks before that, and they're doing the divorce party. They got DeBella's ex-wife agreed to come on, and they were gonna, which is the most humiliating thing you could possibly do to anybody, which is why you love Howard. And so they invited me to come on the bus, and then I had a room in Philadelphia, and I had never been to Philadelphia. And I remember getting on the bus, and all of a sudden we stopped because it was Dan Foreman, remember from Channel 9? Yes. He set up this whole thing with the home of the lap dance. First time I ever got a lap dance. First time, and it was completely nude. So it was like I was there, and all of a sudden I'm in a strip club, and there's actually a vagina like this close to my nose.
Wow.
And I was like blown away. And then I remember we all played poker, and I'm like, 6 weeks ago, if you would have told me I was playing poker with like all these people, I was like, no, you're wrong. But if you don't want to talk about this, I won't. But at some point, there was like a conversation that I was involved with me, you, and Ronnie, the limo driver, in the back of the bus. Do you remember that?
I probably do. Go on.
And if you don't want me to tell the story, I promise you I will edit it out. But it's a famous story. Because you're such an affectionate, loving, caring lover. You were telling me, and you understand something. I'm 19 years old. I just started working on the show. I had the hots for you for years. And there you sat there and you talked about how much you care about the boy you were with. And when you go to sleep.
Ronnie.
No. You were telling about how when you go to sleep that you kind of need a pacifier.
Right.
And it was whoever you were involved with at that time.
It was
remember?
Ronnie.
It wasn't Ronnie. Oh no, it was whoever you were with at the time. But it was the most. But you got to understand something. I'm sitting there, 19 years old, backed up to my neck, in semen, and you're sitting there talking about how you like to go to sleep with your boyfriend's penis in your mouth.
It was comforting.
I was like, time out. I need some me time right now.
You're silly.
Oh my God! But you understand how you ruined every girlfriend after that for me? Like, why are you not more like Jessica Hahn?
Oh.
I had a couple close, but nothing like that.
Well, that was just love.
Oh, I need that in my life. What's wrong? Where did I go wrong, Jessica? Why are you not here right now?
Well.
Oh my God.
You're so sweet. But the whole time you've been talking to me, everybody's calling me.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I did nothing on purpose, but I'm glad I was able to. So you're just obviously you're set for life. You're good. You're one of the last times we were like I spoke to you. You were setting me up with this girl, and we were supposed to go to the Playboy Mansion, and you went from like talking to me, and then what time am I going to meet you? And then that's not only with me, but you went dark with the whole show. It was almost like
Oh, it was
someone gave
weird.
you an
Like,
ultimatum that it's now or never, and you just cut off. And I can't blame you.
well, everything happens with me like it's either all or nothing, and it like yeah, it's like tonight. Even it's like let's just do it now. The interview.
Yeah,
It's like do things right as they're happening, or else it's like things change so fast. It's and I don't know what happened back then. Uh, Probably Ron dying had something to do with it, but I don't recall like that moment. I'm so sorry, but it's like yeah, it's just like the timing. Everything has to be perfect. I can't
yeah.
explain it, but it's like like tonight we're like let's just do this interview, you know, and it
I
just
dropped
happened.
everything. I have a tab at the bar. I got to go back. I was like, "I want to do this now."
Oh,
I called Noah. God bless him. I know he's got a lot on his plate right now with Bright Shot and all the shit that's going
yeah.
on. I'll tell you that on the side. But I was like, Noah, this is happening right now.
He seems like a sweet guy. I like your
No, he's
cross.
amazing. He's amazing. I call him Magic Noah.
I like his name too. I like your cross
Thank
on
you.
your neck.
You know me.
Very pretty.
I'm not religious, but I do like to go to church.
There you go.
A very wise
Yep,
man by the name of Mr. Dorian told me, if you want to go, you want something, go to church, ask him, he'll give it to you.
that's right. It's true.
It
Well,
is.
I love you,
I got
sweetheart.
you.
I love you. I love you a lot.
I
And
love you a
you're
lot,
so
Jessica. And then please let's keep our friendship going, please.
yeah, when I'm after I shower or something, maybe we could do another interview
Yeah. No,
after
when you dial yourself up, I know this was last minute. I understand. Uh, we'll filter in a bunch of beautiful pictures of you because you're always beautiful.
I
But the next time you're ready, we'll do another official interview. And when you got your shit together, I understand you're a lady and but I appreciate what
oh
you
yeah,
did for me
this
so much. Wait, yeah, how about that picture of the divorce party with us hugging?
you are so funny. My gosh. I was like, what am I wearing? And then I realized I where did I get those tan pants? And then I realized that was how my skin
No,
was.
you were just basically naked the whole day.
But oh my gosh. I was like, I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I was naked.
I
It
know,
was
but like I was like, stop looking at her, and I'm like, I'm looking at you. I'm like, stop looking at her, and I'm like, I'm
yeah,
looking at you.
that was a great hug.
Yeah, no, it was fun. That back when I had hair, and I was like,
You're horrible right now.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
really
yeah. But I can't thank you enough, Jessica. Oh my God, thank you so much for doing
cute.
this.
Hey, we're equals. I love you, honey.
I
And
love
you
you,
just,
honey. And
I love you,
you can call me anytime, whatever you want to talk about, and
honey.
we'll stay in touch, and we'll do something when you get all dolled up.
Okay, baby. I love you so much.
I love you
You have
so
a
much.
give Noah a hug for me too. How's
I'll
Noah?
hug him for you, just for you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye, sweetheart.
Bye, Jessica.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Love you, honey.
Love you.
Bye.
Hey everybody, Steve Grillo here, and thank you always for listening to the AftershockXL network and Grillo's AftershockXL. It's much appreciated. We know what's going on outside right now. It's kind of serious. States are being locked down again. It's spiking. It's spreading. The early release, the early opening up didn't take on too well because, well, there's germs out there, and we have to fight against those germs. We wear face masks. We wash our hands. But one of the biggest transfer of bacteria and germs right here in our face every day, on our face, in our hands, we touch something, and then we bring that stuff home. And we have a solution. It's called Clean Phone. Right here. I'm going to demonstrate it on another video. You're going to be able to watch it. Clean Phone. You put your phone and your keys and your wallet, your earbuds, everything goes in here, okay? And you put this on here, and you push the button. I'm gonna send another video you can see. You push the button, the UVC lights in there, knock out all the bacteria. So when you come home, you put everything in there. There's something that you can fit in this box that you want sanitized, you put it in here. It's an amazing new technology. You can get it at thenewdealshop.com. And in the box, if you mention Steve, you get free two-day delivery. They have KN95 masks that you can wear. They come in this nice little bag. These are very, very handy. There's a whole bunch in there. You can order them. Again, mention Steve. In the box, free 2-day shipping. We need to be vigilant, people. It's that time. And the clean phone box is the way to go to sterilize anything that you want to sterilize.